Hello students, today we are going to learn a new topic, that is a device controller. A device drivers are software modules that can be plugged into an OS, that is an operating system, to handle a particular device. Operating system takes help from device drivers to handle all input-output devices. The device controller works like an interface between a device and a device driver. A device controller is a system that handles the incoming and outgoing signals of the CPU, that is a central processing unit. A device is connected to the computer via plug or socket, and the socket is connected to a device controller. Device controllers use binary and digital codes. A controller in a computing context is a hardware device or a software program that manages or directs the flow of data between two entities. In computing, controllers may be cards, microchips, or separate hardware devices for the control. Device drivers are software modules that can be plugged into an OS to handle a particular device. The device controller works like an interface between a device and a device driver. Input-output units, that is keyboard, mouse, printer, etc., typically consists of a mechanical component and an electrical component, where an electrical component is called the device controller. There is always a device controller and a device driver for each device to communicate with the operating system. A device controller may be able to handle multiple devices. As an interface, its main task is to convert serial bit stream to block of bytes, perform error correction as necessary. Any device connected to the computer is connected by a plug and socket. The socket is connected to a device controller. Following is a model for connecting the CPU, memory, controllers, and input-output devices, where CPU and device controllers all use a common bus for communication. And synchronous vs asynchronous input-output. So what do you mean by a synchronous input-output? In this scheme, CPU execution waits while input-output proceeds. And in asynchronous input-output, input-output proceeds concurrently with CPU execution. Now, what is the difference between a device driver and a device controller? A program that operates or controls a particular type of device that is attached to a computer is called a device driver. A part of the system that makes sense of the signals going to and coming from the CPU is called a device controller. And device driver is a software and device controller is a part of hardware. And device driver works as a translator between the hardware device and the application or the operating system, that is OS, that uses it. And in device controller, it converts a serial bit stream to block of bytes and perform error correction as required.